All right, so today we're going to do Unit 2, Day 6, which is finding inverse, or using inverse operations to find the measures of angles. All right, so on page 25 in your booklet, I have these steps written down for you. You could pause the video if you need to. But basically, you're going to use your calculator, and you're going to set up a SOHCAHTOA type equation. So we're going to label theta in your triangle. You're going to label opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse, and then you're going to use SOHCAHTOA to decide which equation to use, so it's either sine, cosine, or tangent. And then you're going to use your calculator, which is either hitting second sine, second cosine, or second tangent. So on your calculator, if you look right now, if you hit second sine, then you see this symbol that says sine with a -1. So we call that inverse sine, or sometimes you call it arc sine. All right, so we're going to go into the problems on page 26, so go ahead and flip over. If you need to pause the video, go ahead and do so. All right, so problem number 1 says find the measure of angle A. So first step is label theta. So put your theta by angle A. Then you're going to label what are these sides, opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. So right here is opposite, this is adjacent, and across from my 90 is hypotenuse. All right, now the only ones we actually care about are the ones with the numbers. So look at, we have opposite and adjacent that's labeled. So now we need to use SOHCAHTOA. Well, which one has opposite and adjacent in it? That's tangent. So tangent of theta is opposite over adjacent, and we're going to fill in all the information that we know. Notice now we do not know our angle, but we do know opposite is 7 and adjacent is 5. All right, so step 4, I'm just going to put this up here, is to make sure you use your calculator. So we're going to solve, the way that you solve this is you take the inverse tangent of both sides. So we do inverse tangent of 7 over 5. We just need to get our calculator to do that for us. So to do that, you hit second tangent. So you're going to go second tangent of 7 over 5. And you hit enter, and that gives us our angle. So it's 54 point, it said round to 1 decimal places, so 54.5 degrees. Then you're all done. All right, problem 2, we're still finding the measure of angle A. So find your angle A, put your theta there. Label opposite, this is hypotenuse, and this is the adjacent. Now again, we only care about the ones that have the numbers in them. So we're looking at opposite and hypotenuse. That's sine. So sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. All right, so we're going to do sine theta is equal to 14 over 30. All right, then you need to do inverse sine in order to solve for the angle. So anytime you want to find the angle, you want to do inverse sine. Now you just use your calculator. Second sine, 14 over 30. And that tells me that my answer is 27.8 degrees. Okay, so hopefully these problems are not too bad now that we're pretty familiar with how to set up our trig equations. You're just doing a little bit different of a step here on your calculator. All right, so the thing that, if you notice in step 4 that I wrote down on the other page, second sign is called inverse sine. Sometimes books use arc sine as the notation, or for inverse cosine, they use arc cosine. So when you see number 3, arc cosine, that means the same exact thing as inverse cosine. So this is just a use your calculator problem. So you're going to do inverse cosine of 1/2. That's it. And the answer is 60 degrees. Okay, the only tricky part of these problems is making sure that you type the equations in correctly. So when you type in like this expression, it's inverse tangent of √3 over 3. Now, if you have the new calculator, you can get your fractions to actually look like a fraction. Here on the older calculator, if you do second tangent, I have to hit square root, so it's second x squared. I need to do square root of 3, but I have to close the parentheses. So make sure that you do that. That's the biggest thing. So what I'm really typing in my calculator is √3, closing the parentheses, then dividing by 3. Okay, and then I can close the parentheses again if I want. All right, so when I do that, my answer is 30 degrees. That's a degree symbol. All right, and then the last problem is arc cosine. So again, that means inverse cosine of square root of 3 over 2. So when you do it on your calculator, just make sure that when you type in the square root of 3 that you close the parentheses, then divide by 2. If you've got the newer calculator, you don't even have the parentheses come up, so you wouldn't really have to do that extra step. So square root of 3, see how I have to close the parentheses here, then divide by 2. And I get 30 degrees. And that's it for today.